Tribal Health and Human Services Department of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai Tribes is proud to present Good Medicine, a program dedicated to the wellness of the Flathead Nation. The mission is summarized quite simply: a healthier people, a stronger nation. We will strive to make Good Medicine a reliable source of ideas and information about health issues so that everyone can make informed decisions about their own lifestyle and health care. You will meet health professionals, tribal government and spiritual leaders, and interesting people from the tribal community discussing important health issues that profoundly affect us all.
Good morning or good afternoon, depending on what time of the day it is out there in TV land. I'm Roxane Colman-Herak, and I'm going to be hosting Good Medicine today, and we have a special treat for you. We're going to be talking about Native wellness, and we have with us today as our guest Jeri Brunoe, who is working with the Native Wellness Institute.
Yes.
So we've got some very interesting topics and discussions that we've kind of talked about before. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Jeri. Tell me how you decided to get into Native wellness. What launched you into this?
Into Native wellness? Well, it's my personal story. And growing up in Warm Springs on a reservation with a lot of trauma, a lot of tragedy, a lot of pain and hurt, and it's just an extension of that. But you know, the losses, I had great loss as a young person in high school, and then losing my best friends. One to murder, one to somebody driving under the influence. And I saw that pain, and I remember thinking, what can I do? What can I do? That's what I initially thought. And then I began to get very numb from going to funeral after funeral after funeral. And in that numbness, I thought, all I need to do is get off of this reservation, because if I don't, I won't survive. And so I left for college. And I was grateful that I've always wanted to go to college, and I was grateful to go to college. However, I couldn't take the pain anymore, and I actually wound up with a disease called ankylosing spondylitis, which fuses the spine, erodes the hips, and it's a rare arthritis that like 1% of women get. And what I've learned since then was that my pain imploded into my body. And then it came out as rage, and I started using, and I became a cocaine addict in college and a dealer. And so I started masking all of my pain from the great losses. And the losses that I had they stemmed from everything, from murder, suicide, overdose, from violence, and I experienced it, saw it, a friend of mine died in front of me. And so it's like, I came to this point in my life that I didn't know whether I wanted to first I wanted to help. My initial was to help, because I was raised very traditional. I was raised going to our ceremonies, spending a lot of time with my grandma and with elders. And I was raised in those good ways. But I turned away from them because of the pain that I was carrying, and being away from home, it was like I didn't know how to cope. So I used, and I was in pain physically as well as emotionally. And after my third attempt of suicide, I had a blonde, blue-eye friend of mine remind me of who I was when I was in the hospital. And he told me, remember, you had goals. Remember, you wanted to help your people. Remember, you wanted to do something good. You have plans. And I wish I could have the culture you have. I wish I could do what you do and go to ceremonies to just know inside of you who you are. And I remember that, and I remember thinking I was just really mad. I didn't want to hear it. But as soon as he walked out of that room, it went straight to my heart, and I just released and decided I want to live. And I went home to my grandma, and I went home to grandma, and I told her, what I was doing. I told her all the things that I was going through. And because of that, she didn't put me down. She encouraged me, and she said, "Come here." And we went to the creek, and we talked to the rock people, and we said a prayer, and we did a song, and to release a lot of pain. And I had to continue to do that to help release. But not only just that ceremony, I mean, just go back to our ceremonies, to our ways, to our values, to who we are as people of this earth. And as a Wasco, just regaining the songs again and listening to Grandma without having, those teachings, I think, what we don't always think about in Indian country too is that a lot of our values are handed over through the mundane kinds of things we did, like cutting wood, carrying water, like just going with Grandma and Grandpa and helping them. And that's where a lot of our values were taught. So I took that, and then I always wanted to be an actor, but it wasn't in my realm at that time. So the other thing was, well, how can I help? I need to do something. So I started volunteering and helping with different preventions or different things in the community. And I saw this one gentleman speak, a motivational speaker, and I'm like, that's what I can use. I can do that. Maybe I can do that, and that will help get the message and remind us of who we are wherever I go. What my grandma taught me, I can share that, and maybe what I share, some of these young people out there won't make the choices I made, or won't go down the road that some of my friends went down. And so I, and I have to say, I mean, it sounds all easy, but it took a lot of courage to just get up and talk to this man. And so I did, because I was actually very, very shy. And I could hardly say my name in front of a group, let alone try to be a speaker. So he actually took me, and he said, I'll take you to my mentor that taught me how to be a speaker. And so that's how my journey began, because it was like from great pain, from the great pain that I grew up with, alcoholic family, was molested by my uncle when I was little, so it was like this healing journey. And then being a drug dealer, I encountered a lot more, and I created a lot more. And so from that, I began to, like, Grandma, help me. And so she helped me understand that in this pain, that there's no such thing as accidents, that maybe you had to do this so you can understand and relate to other young people, or to relate to other people to help them get out of what they're doing. And so she gave me the gift. I think one of the greatest gifts that she gave me was to know that everything happens for a reason, but the greatest gift was that we can turn things around, that we're never disconnected from who we are. We might numb and turn away from it. We might, try to ignore it and move, but we are never disconnected from who we are. Our spirit is always connected to the Creator. That's what she taught me. And so with that is this law that was shared, that you don't always know how to explain it, but it's a law that a lot of us know as what goes around comes around. And we're like, oh yeah, we know what that is, and be careful with what you're doing, but I took that literally. And she said, you have to, because our words are medicine. What we do and what we say can hurt or help somebody. It can penetrate their spirit if they're not strong enough. But what you're doing and what you're doing in this world is going to come back to you. And if you're doing things in not such a good way, it's out of harmony with who you are, and you're going to get more of it. And that's what was happening to me. I was out of harmony of what happened to me when I was younger. I didn't love myself. I thought I was butt ugly. I thought that my life was, I wasn't even going to live to be 21 years old. And so because of that, I said, well, okay, I need to change. I need to change what I'm doing. But this was the part that saved me, was that, Grandma, how come then, if that's the case, then how come the Creator, though, let these bad things happen to me? And she said, that's not the Creator. Creator doesn't let bad things happen to you. He's good. But He gave us the gift of free will. And she used another way of understanding that, but a lot of us know it as free will. And He gave us a choice to go on this path here, and this purpose that we all have within ourselves that's driven when we're in harmony with who we are. We're driven by that, to intuitively know and to make that decision based on intuition, based on that spirit that's within us before we get to the mind. We don't start from the mind, we start from that spiritual place. And in that spiritual place, we make that decision on this path and we take action on it. That's being in harmony with who we are. That's why we're in harmony with the earth. Our people we knew what shape-shifting was. We understood that anything was really, truly possible. But then I decided to make choices that were against my beliefs or that weren't a part of who I really was. And she said, you know, when you make those choices, you're not always listening to that inside of you. But if you start slowly, it'll always guide you back to who you are. And she said, that's free will. So if it were just easy, we wouldn't have to go through pain and suffering. But we choose our path. So there might be this purpose for us, but we might be choosing our path that goes off somewhere else, but it becomes a lesson, it becomes a teaching, it becomes our insight where we can create our aha moments. So our mistakes and our choices that we make can be turned into something wonderful if we choose to look at it that way. And I understand a little more, even though I'm still like a baby and I'm still learning. The more I learn, the more I don't know. The more I have an understanding, it's like, oh my gosh, there's just so much more. But she always said, keep it simple. You get confused, calm down, settle down, get yourself refocused, sing a song, stand still, go by the water. There's a lot of things that we can do today to just get still enough to listen to who we are. And so she taught me a lot of those basic things. And that was wellness. That's about the holistic part of body, mind, and spirit. And so being able to be in harmony, and there's a difference between balance and being in harmony. Balance is you're trying to take the good and the bad, or you're trying to take something that's short and you're trying to balance this out and compensate for something. And harmony is you're all in one. You're in harmony with things and those around you. And that intuition, that inner knowingness guides you when you're in that place. And am I there all the time? No. Am I continually working on it? Yes. And with Native Wellness Institute, Julene Joseph as the executive director, her and I started out as youth together way back. And we started that journey of wanting to do good for our communities. Then we went our own ways for many years, and now we've come back together, and I have the honor and privilege to be able to work with Native Wellness Institute. This is the philosophy. Our culture is our ways, are what brings us back to our own healing, brings us back to our holistic self of who we're supposed to be. And that our practices, it's not just, I guess you'd say with me, I was blessed in not only having my culture and our songs and our traditional ways, but I was also blessed that my mom took us to all these different churches. My brother and I, she took us to, a whole bunch of different churches to experience them, to understand that they also have a way of praying. They also have a way, and to respect those ways. And I really appreciate that today, because I don't have any, I think that whatever that is for you, that continues so you can listen to who you're really supposed to be, that's whatever works for you.
We're going to come right back. This is going to be the easiest show I have ever done in my life, because I just get to listen, and hopefully you are too. We'll be right back after this short PSA. Thank you.
Green power, do you understand it? It comes from our Earth's forces to generate future energy. The coming generations will either reap the benefits or pay the price for decisions made today. Are you willing to invest for the future? Only $3, $5, or $7 per month makes a huge difference for our children. Call 883-7900 for information. We'll leave a legacy. It's up to all of us what that legacy will be.
This is Roxanne. I'm back again with Jeri Brunoe from Native Wellness, and we're going to kind of continue where we left off, and that is, you've shared a lot about your life and why you do Native Wellness, why that's important to you. So how easy was all of this for you? You mentioned it's not always easy,
No,
but
yeah.
so what kind of a process has to happen? What has to happen before a change can occur?
The willingness. The first thing is that is we don't ask for help anymore. And so there's the willingness of just even saying to yourself, I'm willing to ask. I'm willing to ask.
Why don't you think people are asking for help?
There's been a lot of historical trauma. I mean, we have a lot of historical trauma, a lot of history that goes back to that guy that got lost. And with that, there are many people that think, well, you should get over it. It's been a couple hundred years, and really it's not. I mean, we've got boarding school issues. My grandma lived to be 92. It's been 3 years since she passed, and she remembers the raids. She remembers those kinds of things with the wagons when she was a little girl. So it's not like way out there. So we have a lot of historical trauma, and because of that system that was put in place, it's conquer and divide. But we've got to a place where we don't trust. I didn't trust anything or anybody. And when you don't trust, you don't ask. You don't ask for help. It's no, and there comes this place, and I still work on that. I still work on learning to ask for help. That I can't, it's like, no, I'm gonna do this myself. I don't need no help. I don't need, and really it's learning to just say it's okay, just for a minute, and it's been incremental. I was blessed to be able to have my grandma that I could tell her anything. She took secrets with her when she crossed over, but it was just saying, I'm willing. Okay, Grandma, because I have to trust again enough. I have to trust at least our ways, and I trusted my grandma wholeheartedly, and so I trusted that process with her was about letting go of these old things, and I call them bags of rocks. The bag of rocks of guilt, shame, fear, anger, and I can go on, that we carry underneath. So I found myself learning to do things incrementally. So not only going back to my traditional ways and going back to what I did know from my grandma's teachings and basics. So it's basics of this. She said, get centered before you make any decisions. Get yourself centered enough. And what does that mean? It doesn't mean you have to be all clean and perfect and this or that. It means, go to a sweat. Go listen to some songs. Go turn on your radio to listen to something that makes you feel good long enough to say, okay, what do I need to do? And what I did was not only just that, but just making the decision, I want to be better. I want to be healthy. And then we started with a releasing. And what that was talking to the stone people, and telling them my pain and my hurt, to forgive. And our elders are telling us now to forgive the unforgivable. So I had to start forgiving. I had to start forgiving not so much people around me as I had to start forgiving myself. And for a while I was like, how could I hurt so many people? How could I this or that? But my grandma said, if you don't forgive, you cannot move forward. It's challenging.
Well, this kind of goes to, you were talking in one of the classes, that's how we met, is I attended one day of her training. It's a 3-day training, and you were talking about what happens in the unseen world. When we do things, and we see that we do things, how that affects the unseen world.
Yes. Yes. 90%, around 90% is what we think, what we see, what we visualize, what we're dwelling on, what we're speaking about manifests itself in the seen world. And that's what my grandma taught me in that law. I don't even know what you call it, but it's a law. So if we've been under this historical trauma for so long, what we've seen is a lot of pain. And in that pain, we are seeing it on a daily basis. We're feeling it on a daily basis. And when we feel the pain and we see the pain, this is why sometimes it's hard to get out of a cycle, because you're manifesting more of it. You're bringing more of it to you, if you will. You become a magnet to whatever you're dwelling on, whatever that pain is. And my grandma told me, you know, you need to change that picture. And one of those ways is first you got to start the forgiveness. That will instantly change what you're sending out. But in that complete law, she told me that how you're talking to yourself and how are you talking to other people, because that's such medicine that you're going to bring it back to you. And so I had to start doing things not only in this releasing ceremony and letting go and throwing our rocks into the river so that they could be carried off and continue to do that, but I also had to do things like affirm myself, things that felt, because it became such a norm to be in pain. So if someone gave me a compliment, I'm like, yeah, whatever, right? Yeah, right. You know, I didn't accept it. That's not our way. Culturally, that's not our way. We have the giveaway. So I had to start learning to accept things. Grandma would say, you're a good girl. And for a long time, it was hard to accept that. But I didn't want to be disrespectful to my grandma. But she'd say, you're a good girl, my girl. She said, remember, you're a good girl. And holy smokes, you know, that was like just taking it back. And so sometimes it's like for some of us to remember what our grandma said to us, you know, that they'll tell you those good things, or our grandpa, or our auntie or uncle. There's always somebody out there, but we don't always pay attention because we're in our pain and we're in our hurt. So what I was sharing, you know, and my grandma shared with me in this whole circle, this law, is that we got to change the way we talk about ourselves. We got to change the way we talk about our community members, the people around us, because we're going to get more of it. I fought almost every day in school because I thought that I wasn't worthy or good enough. I got more of it. And so she said to me, in that, my girl, that free will, you know, I said, well, why did the Creator do this to me? Why did the Creator hurt me? Why did He let all this bad stuff happen to me? And she said, He didn't. Because you have to remember that free will is we get a choice. And the Creator's like this. He can't interfere because this is a law He gave. This is a gift He gave to us, to human beings on this earth. And so the only way He can interfere is when we ask for help. And we forgot how to ask for help. Sometimes we're pleading when at the end of it, but we're not believing it. And that's the other medicine, is our belief systems have, we've created belief systems that are opposite of who we are as people of this earth or the human race. We've created, in Western society, everything's about instant gratification. I want everything now. I want everything yesterday. I want it. And it's not to say we don't deserve it. We deserve. However, we're going opposite of who we are. We're seeking things outside of us to try to feel good rather than go back to who we are in that place of our culture, in that place of being quiet, in that place of stillness, in that place of prayer, in that place of you know, for some meditation, for some listening to music that's inspiring inside their spirit, you know, to get us in that place so that we can be who we truly are. And so I had to practice those things. It didn't happen overnight, that's for sure. I continue to practice them now. And I do affirmations, I do things that I say, you know, the first ones I learned was that I'm beautiful, I'm strong, and I'm courageous. And my grandma says, warriors today are not, you know, They're not what people might think in television. A warrior is somebody that's always fighting. That's the last thing we ever had to do. We only did it out of protection of our people, right? Because if we didn't, we would have died. We would be all gone. However, a warrior is to serve and protect our people. And so she began to paint that picture for me as a warrior of educating, as a warrior of reminding to help be at service to our people and to be at service to our family members and to stop this historical trauma. And historical trauma looks like backbiting, looks like passing the buck, blame game. If they'd only get out of the way, if they'd just get more money, if he would, it's all about, again, going back to instant gratification or never taking responsibility for who we are. And my grandma was like, put me in check. You know about this law. Be responsible in that law. Be responsible how you are being towards other people, because that's medicine. And so not only in that forgiveness, I did it incrementally. I didn't do it all at once. I practice my ways at home, and I use our sage and our medicines. But even today for our young people, and I work, my passion also is just with our young people, is that if they don't know, they don't know. Until we step up and say, there's other ways of doing things. And you can pray, it's okay. Well, what's prayer? It's talking to Creator and asking for help.
Jeri, this is, I wish we had 2 hours. I could just listen to you forever and ever, but we're getting ready to wrap up the show. Doesn't it go by fast?
Yes.
I told you it would.
Yes.
Too fast. If someone were interested in maybe getting involved with the Native Wellness Institute, how can they get a hold of you? How can we stay in touch with you? Because I don't want this program, this information to end here.
Great. It's nativewellnessinstitute.com. You can go online. We are online, and Jalene Joseph is the executive director. And there is a whole cadre of trainers like myself that are part of Native Wellness Institute. And we're all over the Indian country. And you can go on there and give them a call. And they will accommodate. If you want us to come out to your community, we can totally do that. We'll have 2 or 3 trainers, maybe 1 trainer, depending on what you're doing. And you take a look at the website, and it shows about community building, about working with your staff, about healing, prevention work, suicide prevention. It's all there. A lot of sports as well.
I want to say this. You are really a good girl. You had a good grandmother. You're good people out there. Hopefully we can take this good medicine and make better choices.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Good Medicine is your program. We hope you watch this and subsequent programs to stay informed about your health care. And we'd like to hear from you about how we're doing. Please direct any comments or suggestions you have to us. You can reach us at